My name is Francesca Fondse. I am the National Champion for Women to the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. My journey with gender-based violence and femicide started during the Oscar Pistorius trial for the killing of Reeva Steenkamp. I was designated to the trial with Jackie Mufeking, and whilst I was at the trial, unbeknownst to many, I was already experiencing various levels of domestic violence in my own life. Most people don't understand the various forms and subtleties that violence takes on within our society. In a domestic environment, violence can be either physical, psychological, emotional, even religious and financial. It very often happens in a partnership where both the husband and the wife, for instance, are in business, that the husband, according to the norms infringed within our society, the husband would be in control of the finances, despite his wife working for her own good. Emotional violence often comes when the one partner degrades the other or make them feel like they are not sane anymore. Most people don't understand the subtleties of emotional violence. We have now come to terms with the narcissistic paradigm within our society, where a male or a female could actually play roles, and it's called triggering or gaslighting, with a partner to confuse them and to make them self-doubt. I have experienced these. I have experienced political violence during the apartheid era. I did not expect post-1994 to encounter another form of very devastating violence. Not only do you lose assets if you are a business person as a woman, but you also lose your sense of self. Very often, your belief that there is good in the world because somebody is systematically shaving away at your sense of self. South Africa currently is the global capital for gender-based violence and femicide. Yes, domestic violence statistics is part of our gender-based violence stats, but it is very disconcerting that international tourist operators list Pretoria, Johannesburg, Pietermaritzburg and Durban as under the 10 most unsafe cities for women in the world. We really need to take a look at what is happening. Our 2 COVID years also did not assist this country. Teenage pregnancies rose with 62%, very often because of incestual rape. Our unemployment has risen. Gender-based violence has risen by 7.7% in the last 2 years. Our courts are inundated and are not coping well with the backlog that it is facing at the moment. Very often, we as people don't understand violence. We have a bleeding society in South Africa. We are a traumatized society. Not only are we dealing with the historical imprints of violence due to colonialism and later apartheid upon our society, but we are also dealing with generational violence, because it is proven now in the field of epigenetics that every time a person experiences violence, whether it is physical violence, psychological violence, emotional violence, any form, prejudice, that there is a subconscious reaction in the nervous system that translate to the reconfiguration of our chromosomes in our DNA. In a recent research paper by Dr. Langley from San Francisco, he emphatically stated that all hereditary disease, including diabetes and any other form of hereditary disease, originates as a form of trauma which caused inflammation to the chromosomal configuration of our DNA that changed the patterning and eventually then settle and become a hereditary affliction. Therefore, we need to look at trauma and gender-based violence and femicide, not only in terms of the victim of gender-based violence, but also to the family of the victims. And we need to make assertive effort to counteract the effects of trauma, to ensure that the future does not include all kinds of diseases that we do not want to see. With the 2 years of COVID-19, what we have experienced in terms of gender-based violence in South Africa is very disconcerting. And what it means to me as a gender-based violence survivor is that we are a traumatized society. With all the traumas that I've already mentioned, we need to start looking about how we can heal. And I need to say to anybody watching this video, healing starts with you. Yes, our country has got excellent legislation. I recently served on the intersectorial commission that reviewed the Domestic Violence Act that the President signed into law on the 2nd of February 2022. And we have made sure, as much as we can, that there were no further loopholes for attorneys to apply to get their clients off or diminished in any way as far as the accountability is concerned. However, we need to heal. South Africa needs to heal. Our riots of 2021, all those are symptomatic of the systemic trauma that is present in South African society. And I wish to say to families, to people, that they must please cooperate, and please to schools to make the information available so that students can understand where they can turn to for help when they are in domestic violence situation. Then I want to appeal to Business South Africa. Please look at how you further impose systemic trauma on women by unequal pay. Unequal pay is a form of gender-based violence. You might think you're getting away with the financial implications, but you are creating a sick society, and you are implicated in the furthering thereof. What I want to say to people is, I had to have my journey. There are many, many thousands of women who went through this journey, and it is a long road to heal. We are South Africa. We do have traumas that is not necessarily gender-based. And I wish to appeal to everybody to take matters into your own hands, at home, at school, at work, at faith-based organizations, to start to understand the effects of trauma, to start researching various ways that you can deal with trauma. There are many wonderful internationals online that have various therapies that help us de-stress, and actually with the help of some therapies you can actually dislodge internalized and subconscious trauma. So ultimately, I want to say to everybody, healing from your wounds starts with you. We need to get rid of prejudice in this country. It is a form of violence. We need to get rid of racism in this country. It is a terrible form of violence, and we need to get rid of gender-based violence, and we need to dialogue. There is no way that someone like me or anybody else can work with women and not include men. We need to cope together. We need to assist each other as males and females in this country. We need to reach a new level of understanding if we are to address the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide.